And we're back in once again. Welcome everyone to the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast with me, your boy Slap, and my co-host extraordinaire,
E Major. Welcome, Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop. Slap, we saying?
All good, my brother. All good, man. This week we're gonna hit you off with some reviews. So we're gonna jump back into our review bag, and we'll be listening to some albums that have started to filter out over the last few weeks. So the first one that we're gonna do, this is our first review this year, isn't it, bro? It's our first review of 2022. Yeah, man. So the first one that we're gonna do is the new Snoop album, Back on Death Row. It's kind of a landmark album for the mere fact that Snoop has been the one that acquired Death Row, which I'm hoping is great news because, you know, Death Row could have been, although obviously they achieved so much, but since the death of Tupac, you know, things just kind of fell off a cliff, man, and there was just too much happening. There's stories up to today, you know what I mean, that you're hearing about all the stuff that was going on. It was a wild time. So hearing that Snoop got it back was good, but I'm just hoping that he's able to do what he needs to do, man, at the label,
definitely.
And that he's not held back by label politics or, you know, industry bullshit or whatever. So the album's called Back on Death Row. I know that people would have certain things in their minds. If you came from a certain era, if you hear Death Row, you're going to want to be hearing some Daz beats, some Dre beats, some Corrupt verses, some Lady of Rage, Fire. We got none of that. We got none of that. So let's jump into it, bro. What did you think of the album, man? But actually, before getting into the album, what did you think about the news that Snoop had acquired Death Row, man? How did you feel about it?
Man, I was happy, man, because as you rightly said, Death Row, for us coming up in the 90s, Death Row was the label, man. Do you know what I mean? There was a time when you just felt like Death Row was untouchable. You know what I mean? Pardon the pun. But yeah, Death Row, I just felt like they were killing it at one stage, man. The soundtracks they were doing, the albums, obviously, Dre, Snoop, everything, they were killing it, man. So just to see the decline of everything, obviously, Tupac passing, as you said, the internal beefs, what's happening with Suge, him being in prison. I'm not laughing at the situation, obviously, it's a sad situation, but I was listening to Razkaz the other day, and he was rapping, and he said, a couple of things I've learned. One of them is to never walk behind Suge's car, and I must admit I did laugh to myself.
I heard that.
Yeah, it was in the enemies and benefits in it, but
yeah.
So it was just him being funny. But you know what I mean. But the whole situation, you just think, man, look, the Death Row kind of became a joke, and then being sold to, like, was it Hasbro, the toy company? Yeah. It's just like, come on, man. So if I'm honest with you, man, Snoop, like we spoke about on one of our other episodes, we were saying Snoop's like everyone's favorite uncle, innit? So to see him buy Death Row or acquire Death Row or what have you, I was happy for him, man, because Death Row is something, when I think of Death Row, I think of Dre, Snoop, Tupac, you know what I mean? So it was good to see him acquire that, man. So I was happy for him, man. I was definitely happy for him. Like you said, I'm hoping he runs with it and does something good with it, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's all we can hope for, man. But you know what the music industry's like, man. It's full of shit. So definitely, we'll wait and see, man. So into the meat and potatoes, man. What did you actually think of the album?
Okay, man. So I'll run off my bits first then. So as soon as it started, I was happy, bro, because as you know, it starts with the intro, the same Chronic intro. So as soon as you hear that, obviously all the nostalgia kicks in again, man, and you're like, yeah, you're excited. It's going to be good. Production from Hit Boy, DJ Green Lantern, DJ Battlecat, High Tech, Bink, Not, Superfly, Trevor Lawrence, and Hollis. They were the ones down labeled as producers on the album. I think the production was good on the album. It was a good length. I think it was a good 18, 19 songs, man.
That's a dope list of producers, man. Like, seriously.
It is, man.
Not Battlecat and them High Tech. That's crazy.
That's what I mean. So even when I was writing out the names, I was thinking, wow, these are hard names, man, to like have on your project. And this is album number 19. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So he's been doing it for a while, bro. That's like nearly 20 albums. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Obviously, it's not Doggy Style. Do you know what I'm saying? But I thought it was a good album. Some of my favorite tracks were Still Smoking, Gunsmoke, Conflicted, That was with Nas. Jerseys in the Rafters with The Game. It's in the Air. We Don't Got to Worry. Doggy Styling. It's in the Air twice. So, but yeah, those were like my favorite ones, the ones that I kind of go back to. I think it was a solid album. Snoop's doing his thing. You know, he's having fun on it. He don't have to particularly try too hard now, does he? As I said, he's everyone's favorite uncle. He's just doing his thing. I think the production really held it up. There's a few tracks I really didn't like, and I listened to all of it so that I could listen to it, but I'd never revisit it again. The ones mentioned were the only ones that I kind of would keep going back to or go back to again. But I thought it was a solid album, man. I thought he'd done a good job. Do you know what I'm saying? I watched a little mini film that he done as well, like the little soundtrack movie that he done for it as well. Won't say I particularly liked it, but it gave a bit of life to the album, I guess. But I say hats off to him, man. I think the album was a good album, good production list, as we said. Those who guested on it done their thing. Snoop done his thing. Yeah, I think it was a good album, a decent album to come back and say back on Death Row. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I thought it was a good album. I'll save my rating until after you say.
Yeah. All right. So where do I start?
That sounds worrying.
All right. So first of all, right, Doggy Style is the gift and the curse, right? Because obviously he's never been able to get anywhere near the album ever again throughout the 19 albums that he's dropped. So to call this one back on Death Row, as I said, like my mind immediately went back to Death Row. And obviously it's not that. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go to it with new fresh ears, like no expectations. I don't have any expectations of albums anyway, but I thought, let me just go in and just listen and then collate my thoughts once it's done. Snoop as a rapper, I don't really care about, if I'm being honest. He's a celebrity guy. He's a music icon. Like if you knew Snoop in 92, 93, you would never have guessed what he would become today. Never in a million years would you have said he would be like
that guy.
Uncle Snoop. No way. You would have thought he was, you know, some gang banging, whatever. You wouldn't have thought he'd be doing this. So he's shown real kind of growth progression in some aspects, because in some aspects he definitely hasn't, man. So listening to the album, like you said, man, the intro was great. It was a really good kind of trip down memory lane if you were really big on Death Row and stuff like that. But then there's some really annoying, pointless things that he's done on the album as well. So what I like is, as you said, like the producers, he's reached out and got some dope producers, and that kind of shows the pull that he has, that he can still get people like Nas, Battle Cat, and all them kind of man to, you know what I mean, to produce on the album. So my favorite songs were House I Built, which is absolutely right, because he did build that house at Death Row. Outside the Box was great, man, because just hearing Nate Dogg on the hook, I mean, we ain't heard that in a long time. So just to hear Nate Dogg on the hook. What I really liked as well was the fact that I think it was Coming Back. Like that was a real like funky Battle Cat kind of tune, and on a few of the songs, like they really brought the funk. Funk has been missing in hip hop for a long time. But to hear that was really good. Sandwich Bag I liked as well. That was a dope song. And possibly my favorite song, because I'm such a massive fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the show. Like if I was a white man, I'd be Larry David. I'm telling you that right now. If I was white and rich, I'd be him. Fuck everyone. I don't like none of you. I'll be beefing with everybody. Like I love that show. It's brilliant. So when I read Crip Your Enthusiasm, I was a bit skeptical, man. And then when it started, like the theme tune, I was like, oh, please don't mess this up. Please don't make this corny. And it actually works, which is nice. So that was a nice surprise. I'm glad that it worked out, because that could have been disastrous, to be honest with you.
Definitely.
So, to what I don't like, I don't know what it is with some of these guys where they feel that they have to shoehorn in a sound or an artist or something. Like the album could be going along perfectly fine, and then you just jammed in some shit that doesn't fit, doesn't sound like anything else on the album. You slammed in a feature that doesn't fit. Like the baby doesn't fit on the album, bro. Like it doesn't fit the sound, nothing. He's got some dude called Emo Trap or something on there. Horrific, terrible. Like what you doing there? Like this isn't an auto tune trap. You've gone back to making funk. You're saying back on Death Row, and you've got this trap guy on there. Like again, out of place, didn't work. Conflicted, I did not like, because Conflicted sounded like it was a Nas song. Like that beat was made for Nas, because he's just on the hook, and it doesn't even sound. It doesn't even sound like he's made the hook for that song. It sounds like the hook was just left on the song, and then Hit Will was like, "Oh, here you go, Snoop. Here's a beat that we didn't use for Magic or whatever."
It definitely feels like that. I like the song, but it definitely feels like it's Nas's song.
And I don't like. For me to have that thought about it, I didn't like it, because straight away I'm like, this is what's happened in order for this song to happen. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that, to be honest with you. Overall, it was okay. I'm not going to jump out the window for it. It was an okay album. There's some songs I would go back to. I'd probably delete most of it, especially like those reaches. There was a song called "Get This Dick" or something, which was actually pretty good. Like the title was trash, but the song itself was okay. It's one of them kind of, I'm having fun. Like Snoop's at the point now where he doesn't have to make music. Like he's not going to make money off music, and a lot of artists, they know they're not making money off music. They're making money off other stuff that they're doing. So he just does what he wants, and he's at the stage of his career, like you said, nearly 20 albums deep. He can literally do what he wants. So he can make songs like that. Do you know what I mean? And get away with it. And outside of just Snoop, he's done Eastsiders, he's done 9 Inch Dicks, he's done Doggy's House, and he's done a million out. Like he's done so much. So for us to have expectations of him now will be pointless. You know what I mean? But the last track, again, I think it was him trying to sing. I can't remember what it was called, but it wasn't great. So it's just it's middle of the road for me. There's a few songs that I liked, a few nostalgic moments that were good. But to call it back on Death Row, I see why he did that, but I don't know. I think if you're going to call it back on Death Row, man, I think you need to bring the feeling back. And this album didn't bring the feeling back. Nah, it didn't. But there was some nice songs on there. So yeah, middle of the road, bro. Average to good. For me.
Yeah, I hear you. Like you said, it was a missed opportunity. It would have been good if because he's got albums and he does make decent albums, you know what I mean? And he drops consistently. By that, I mean, he drops regularly, I should say, sorry. So it would have been good if he made this like a whole nostalgic project. I know people say we're stuck in the 90s too much anyway, but I mean, with him saying back on Death Row, it would have been good for him to try and, because I'm sure he could have got corrupt on there, or Dazzy, you know what I mean? I'm sure unless the relationships have all broken down, but I'm sure he'd be in a place where he could get them on. Bro, that would have been insane. If
that would have been crazy, man. Yeah,
with that sound. Do you know what I mean?
But then maybe, a lot of them might have been like, I ain't going there. Like, Dr. Dre ain't having anything to do with an album called Back on Death Row. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how Daz would feel about it. I don't know how Corrupt would feel about it. I don't know how Rage would feel about it. Nate Dogg's not here. Warren G, he might have, I don't know. But it would have been great if that was the case, if he got all those guys together and they were able to make some, not sounding like that, but just to get them involved. It would have felt, it would have felt more, it would have felt more relevant to the song, to the album title. Sorry. And there was I just don't like reaches, man. I just don't like reaches for songs. It just doesn't feel good when I know what you're doing on a song. You're reaching for a certain audience, or do you know what I mean? It just doesn't fit. None of those songs that I mentioned, they just don't fit with the album. They could have easily been left off, and I know why you put them on there for streaming. You know what I mean? So if someone's looking for a auto-tune type thing, it's like, oh, Snoop's got one. But then if I listen to the album, top to bottom, it just sounds wrong, out of place. So yeah, man, it was okay. I wouldn't be bothered if I never heard it again, and that's always my measure for an album.
Very true. What would you say then, turntable wise?
I'm talking like a 3.
That's
3 out
exactly
of
the number
5.
I had. Yeah, that's what I had
Yeah,
in mind.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd say 3. Yeah, definitely. If it was the tracks I like, if it was shorter, then it would
mm,
have been higher. But because there was like a good amount of tracks, and those
yeah.
are
There's
like the
quite a
only,
few tracks, man.
yeah. So there's a lot of skippers on there. Do you know what I'm saying
Mm.
for me? So yeah. All right, cool. 3 months. All right, Snoop back on death row.
Yeah,
All right,
man.
man.
Big up to Snoop for acquiring Death Row, as we said.
100%.
Hope he does some big things and stops with the auto tune reaches, man. We don't need that shit on Death Row. There's enough people doing that. So yeah, man. That's the Snoop album back on Death Row, and we'll be back with another episode and another review. So stick with us, and
Definitely,
we'll see
man.
you on the next one.
Peace, man. See you soon.
All right, peace, guys.